Welcome to Return to Trust. So, this course specifically is going to give you my 4 steps, trial and true, on how I have created this magnetizing sensuality and really learned how to embody my femininity through the adversities that I've overcome, such as sexual assault, domestic violence, being a young mom, as well as generational trauma that I have endured and learned and been taught over the 27 years of living that are passed down from 2 very different cultures with similar views. So we'll dive into that as well. But I really wanted to create this program because of the simple fact that I truly believe that there is a shift happening in womanhood where women are wanting to become more independent. They are wanting to actually heal. They're wanting to elevate. They're wanting to become this desired version of themselves, but they're not really sure how to navigate that road, let alone they're not really sure how to forgive the challenges that have happened, right? How to overcome and work through the infidelity, the body dysmorphia, the feeling of being lonely in motherhood, whether that is abandonment, neglecting, like we have all of these things we've experienced that have subconsciously impacted us. And I feel this shift through my community with my clients and as a woman collective that I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to put out a course about coming back to our internal truths, coming back to our internal trust, and coming back to this undeniable self love that is going to amplify your leadership, your intimacy, your pleasure, your desires, your communication, not only within yourself, but for the people around you as well. So I hope you're ready because it's about to get good up in here. Also, apologize in advance. I'm like out of breath. Third trimester pregnancy is a lot when you're trying to talk. You never realize how much talking can actually take the wind out of you. So if it sounds like I'm dying, I'm just trying to breathe and talk all at the same time. So bear with me on that. I'm also going to move a little bit slower so that I'm not always out of breath. Um, but okay, so I kind of want to bring it back with my personal story. And one of the most profound gifts that I given myself over the 27 years of living has been learning how to connect with my like my magnetism, right? Learning how to connect with my sexuality, learning how to connect with my sensuality, and ultimately learning how to become one with my body, right? Embodying my power. And as a female that was born into a traditional Italian household, as well as a traditional African American household, being multiracial, I had this idea of women's sensuality being like this super dirty, disgraceful, disrespectful thing where something that was supposed to be explored within the 4 walls of my home, something that was supposed to be reserved for moments of intimacy with my partner or with myself, something that was supposed to be taught throughout your life and experienced throughout your life was constantly showed to me in the lens of this is a sin, you're going to go to hell, God doesn't like ugly, as well as stop being a hoe, stop being a slut, and all of the things. And so obviously like that concept around women's sensuality and what it really meant to be a woman, it confused the crap out of me to where I almost was like, do I even want to be a woman? Like, do I even want to identify as a woman? Like, if it's such this disgraceful, crazy, chaotic thing where I'm supposed to just bow down and worship the gods in front of me, the men in front of me, like, who wants to live like that? Right. And I constantly use this analogy with my clients where I'm like, women are volcanoes, right? Like we have this lava inside of us where we're constantly told to contain that lava and just to pretend we're a picture perfect mountain. And like for so long, that is what I was doing. But at the end of the day, I was so tired of being the freaking mountain that I was like, I want to erupt. I want my beauty and my fire to come out. And I want to be able to express it freely without being judged, without being shamed, and all of these things. And it wasn't until my late 20s when I learned that our sensuality is actually not equivalent to our sexuality, but it's actually like this beautiful subset of it, right? So it's a part of it, but it's not equal to, it's not one or the other. Like it's a beautiful subset of your sexuality. And while I started to really like hone in on that belief and really dive more into the educational factor behind that, I've lived and discovered in the last few years that our sensuality is our capacity to discover. It's our capacity to connect with the aliveness and with the pleasure that's pulsating in our bodies 24/7, 365 days a year. And we do that by using our internal and external senses. Like this is tantric arts, right? Like this is what my work is all about, is the capacity to just to discover and connect the vibrancy and the juiciness and the sexiness of life through our senses. And that is what the holistic healing modalities that I teach are about, right? So that is tantric arts. And when you pair it with the neurosomatic practices of breath work and meditation and tapping and body movement, it amplifies it to allow you to collapse time so much faster. And so I want you to understand that it begins with the development of the sensitivity to all of the dimensions of your body, right? So the physical, the mental, the emotional, the energetic. And by noticing the different pulses, by noticing the different textures, the different layers, the feelings of sensation, you're able to almost create this tool belt of your internal senses so that you can then dive deeper into the pleasures of your body, right? And when you dive deeper into your pleasures and desires, you're able to witness aliveness more. You're able to witness this form of a full body yes, what it means to finally live an orgasmic life. And when you are living a life that is a, oh my gosh, I cannot believe like I get to live another day, you start to use that and it elevates your frequency, right? You use that vitality as an emotional and an energetic fuel for your day to day, right? You start to use that to thrive, like to thrive and to push and to interact with the wider world, right? With society, with the collective, with your friends, with your family, in your relationships, with your kids. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down, right? And so, since this work is inside, it enhances your sensitivity of the inner world, right? So it enhances you to live a life and to be able to experience a life that is fully embodied by pleasure. And when you embody that pleasure, your internal trust, your internal knowing is going to amplify. And when it amplifies, your external senses are going to come more frequently. So, oh, I feel like I ran a marathon. Okay. So, yeah. So you're able to do that. And your external senses are able to come more easily, right? And so, with all of that being said, as a result of this embodiment and of this knowing, you become more centrally alive, right? And when you're more centrally alive, you're getting an emotional charged, like an emotional charge by you that is not only magnetic to the humans around you, but it'll actually penetrate their energy, right? So by you being more sensual, by you being more sexual, by you living in this creative life force, you're going to penetrate and amplify the people in your world, right? And like that is magic. And it creates so many endless possibilities where you start to get to experience life a little bit more fully, right? A little bit more intensely, a little bit more wholesome. You'll start to derive pleasure in breathing and moving and talking and eating and drinking water. Like you're going to find pleasure in your everyday necessities and your everyday habits to where you're going to be able to turn yourself on without the physical masturbation, right? Like, this is what I mean when I say living an orgasmic life, right? Being able to wake up every day and turn yourself on through your day to day to where it's something as simple as like you taking a bite to eat and you're like, oh my gosh, this is right. Having a conversation with that friend and you're like lit up about it, right? Drinking the glass of water on a hot, sunny day and you're like, oh, yes, like get me wet, right? And when you start to live in this pleasure, when you start to live in this desire, you start to feel more inspired to carry out your routine, right? You're no longer going to have the Monday blues and wake up and be like, oh, fuck, I hate my job, right? Like you're going to feel inspired to do the things you have to do because you found passion, you found joy, you found love. And that is the highest frequency, right? Love, gratitude, and joy. Love, gratitude, and joy. And all of those are linked to sexuality. So, of course, you're going to end up feeling more sexual and more sensual in your physical intimacy as well, because if you're turned on by life, your sex drive is going to be amplified. So you're going to become one horny, gorgeous goddess who is literally just turned on by everything she is doing. And I truly believe that this is what life is about, right? And so for so many years, I had, I'm like trying to find the right word, house of pregnancy brain, guys. Like, so it's like for so many years, like I have had lack of love. I've had body issues. I've had moments of resentment towards my kids. And honestly, a lot of that stemmed from daddy issues that I didn't know I had, sexual assaults that I had experienced, domestic violent relationships that I used to be a part of, and being a young mom and not being able to live the normal 20 lifestyle, right? And so when I was at my lowest, I believe now, didn't back then, I personally believe that I had to experience those things to create the magnetic sensuality and to create the undeniable love that I have today. And here is why. I'm going to turn my fan on real quick. So fast forward or rewind back to 23 years ago when I was a kid, right? I am the only girl in my family other than my mom before my daughter. Okay. So we were in like an all boy dominant family. It was literally like the only girls in our entire family unit was my grandma, my mom, me, my aunt, and my cousin. 5 girls out of a very big Italian family, right? If you think about what my family was like, the first thing that would pop up to your head if you knew my family is like the family off of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where they're always in each other's businesses and we were always at family gatherings and all the things, right? And that's how it was. But with that, we were really big on religion, right? Really big on religion to the point where I had to actually, like, my parents enrolled me into Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th grade. So my entire school education, which I'm extremely blessed and grateful for because I went to a private school, is that it was surrounded by religious beliefs, right? Hardcore Roman Catholic religious beliefs. And when you go through a school that had nuns as teachers and priests as mentors, and I was an altar girl and did the whole thing and went to church 2 times a week. Like, that starts to shift your mindset, right? Like, I was a total tomboy. I hated to wear skirts. I wanted to be with the guys. I wanted to play with the guys. I didn't really want to do the girly girl things. I didn't want to play jump rope. I didn't want to play house. I wanted to be in my pants on the playground, playing basketball, kicking the ball, doing all the things. And at the school I went to, we had to wear dresses. We had to wear skirts. We had to keep the boys and the girls separate because God forbid something happens on the playground, all the things, right? And so I grew up not fitting in because I didn't want to be with the girls. I wanted to be with the guys. That is what I desired. That is what my intuition was like, go, I want to go play. And my entire elementary and middle school experience, it was torture because I never got along with the women. I never got along with the girls. And so then I subconsciously formed this belief and this lie and myth in my head that women were catty, women were drama, all of these things. And it was something that I held on to even into my adulthood. And so when I went into high school with this belief of, I never will fit in with the women. I don't even want to be friends with women anymore because of the drama and the back talk and the gossip and all the things. In high school, I found myself getting bullied, right? I was a total gym rat. I was on the high school basketball team. I only wanted to be in the gym any chance that I got. And any girls that were on the basketball team with me, I found them talking behind my back, talking about me, starting rumors and all the things. And so what that did is that played into that belief, right? It started to tell my ego, like, see, I was right. I knew I was right. This is why I hate women and blah, blah, blah. And so that like ball just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. And then I told myself outside of high school, I need to get an athletic scholarship so that I can move out of home, so that I can move out of the state. I can start my own life, do the things I want to do. And it was going to be okay. And I did. I got a basketball scholarship. I moved from California to Illinois, lived there for 5 years. And what happened? All of those beliefs came with me. And so when people say, well, if things aren't working, I'm going to leave home. If things aren't working, I'm going to get a divorce. If things aren't working, we're just going to break up and it's going to be all okay. No, it's not. It's not going to be okay because you will bring those experiences with you. And that's what I did. And what happened is that when I went to college in another state, that was a huge culture difference. If you've never been to the Midwest, it's literally like dated back to the 50s where everything is segregated and it's very like traditional and it's a hot mess. And especially when you're coming from California, which is like a total liberal state. But besides the point, I went to Illinois and what happened? I was on the basketball team. The girls started gossiping. The girls started to spread rumors. I told myself, I can finally have friends. Like, I can finally have guy friends without being judged. Right. And I did. I had a lot of guy friends because I always connected myself with the guys. I wanted to work out for fun. I didn't want to drink and party and shop and talk about boys. I wanted to work out and be in the gym and play video games and do all the things. And so I had a lot of guy friends. But what would happen is being in a college, they would see me walk in and out of different men dorms, even though nothing sexual was happening. People would start to put stories about what was happening in those rooms, right? And of course, the guys that those rumors were about never stood in their power to correct the rumors, right? So it was a lot of, oh, Cheyenne's a hoe. Cheyenne is sleeping with different men multiple times a day. It's amazing, like all the things. And so that started to eat at me because it was like, well, that's not the case. That's not who I am. I just want to be me. And so then the beliefs of, well, women can't be my friends because of the drama added on to, I can't be myself because people are going to make fun of me. I can't be myself because I'm going to be a slut. I can't be myself because no one understands me. And so what happened is I became isolated, right? I didn't want the rumors. So I locked myself in my dorm. I only went to school, went to the gym, came home, had zero friends, all the things. And eventually that rolled into me craving love, me craving security, me craving a sense of belonging, right? And when you crave those things, you're going to receive them and accept them wherever it's given. And so I started a relationship with someone, bless his heart, who at the time was very good at giving me what I needed in that moment. And it turned into a very toxic relationship really fast because I depended on him for love. I depended on him for security. I depended on him for safety. I depended on him to be my friend. And he played with that. He loved that. He controlled me with that, right? And 4 years later, this domestic violent abusive relationship mold into things that were going to break me, and they did break me. And it was to the point where when I had my daughter from him, which was out of control and manipulation and all the things, story for a different day and for a different course, I moved back home and was like, you know what? Like, I need to stop this cycle. I need to trust myself. I need to give my daughter the family and the life that she truly deserves. I was 19 at the time. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I come back home in the summer of college, my freshman year, have my daughter. Her dad was still in the other state. And I told him, I was like, I can't be in this relationship with you no more. I need to do right by my daughter, our daughter, and that means not being with you. Of course, baby, I love you. Come back, do all the things, right? And I went back. I believed him. Something in my gut told me to go back. I don't know why, but I was like, Mom, I'm going back. And it is what it is. You can't stop me. I packed my daughter up, 2 months old, and I moved across country away from family to be a single mom and to go live with her abusive dad. And not even 2 weeks later, he left me dry, turned off utilities, wiped everything from the house, and literally only left me with four walls and my daughter's crib. I had no money, no college dorm I was able to live in because I had a child and all the things. And in that moment, for those months, I was highly suicidal. I was constantly wanting to die and overdose and cut myself. And the only thing that kept me alive was my daughter. And I would look at her and be like, I have to stay. I have to stay for you. I have to stay for you. I have to stay for you. She was the light in the darkness. And I found a job who allowed me to bring my daughter to work with me. And ironically, my supervisor at the time is now my boyfriend, fiance today. So I walked into Denny's, black eye, fresh out of a domestic violent relationship, eyes bawling, and was like, I need a job. I can't afford babysitting. I'm a full-time college student that goes right down the road. Like, I need something. I can work overnight. I just need to keep my daughter in the break room. She was still in like her little basket seat at the time. And he said yes. I didn't even fill out an application. He just said yes. And so that was like my first like God wink moment where I was like, okay, all right, I see why my intuition started to lead me here. Like things are starting to like kind of work out my way. We work. He helped take care of my daughter so that she no longer had to sit in the break room. It was amazing. And the ball started to roll with more positive things, right? Fast forward 5 years, 6 years, me and him are in this amazing relationship. Fast forward another 2 years, like we're still having in this amazing relationship. We're back home. It's all the things, right? And so now I'm telling you this, not for sympathy, not for, oh my gosh, you've been through a lot. I'm telling you this because everything I experienced came with me, because what was happening is I wasn't doing the healing along the road. I didn't heal from the relationship with my daughter's dad, which carried into the relationship with Amante and I, which carried into the mother I was for Audrey and Ryu and all of these things. And so it really took 6 years of me being with Amante to where my breaking point happened. I broke, I shattered. I was like, I need to figure something out. Our relationship was pretty much done. He was like, I'm leaving. I'm going back home. I can't do this anymore. Like, you need to heal. You need to do something because you're literally driving me crazy. And I did. I did. He packed up, he went home. I was left a single mom of 2 kids. And I knew in that moment something had to give. And I realized that everything was happening was because of me. Everything that happened wasn't because of the mistakes he made, wasn't because of the infidelity I experienced, wasn't because of the hardships of being a young parent or going to school or all the things. It happened because of me. It happened because I didn't trust myself. I didn't love myself. And I was looking for everybody else to give me what I was needing. And so it took him leaving for 6 months for me to really be like, fuck, Cheyenne, like you have to love yourself. You have to do the things that you don't want to do and open up that Pandora box so that you can be a better you. And I did. And he kept telling me that, like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. And I just kept telling myself, like, God, like, I just need to heal. I don't care if he comes back. I don't care what happens. I need to heal. I need to love myself. I need to do something. And I dived into the holistic neurosomatic tantric arts field, and I had my aha moments, which leads me to the 4 simple ways that I'm going to teach you today. So how do I want to word this? Okay, so here are the 4 ways that I know work for me, has worked for me for the last 3-4 years. And I'm going to give them to you to try and to see how well they resonate with you. And I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what they look like, and what you do with them is on you, right? Because I can give you the tools, but if you're not going to implement them, or if you're not going to practice them, it's not going to work, right? You have to create the habit. That's the first thing I tell people. I can't guarantee results, but I can guarantee you a result if you make these steps a daily routine. And have helped thousands of women create a life that they truly desire through this 4-step method. So, number 1 is soften into your body when you're in high pressure situations, right? So, we are living in a super hyper masculine world, right? Like, I always tell people, like, you think of the song where I'd be like, this is a man's world. Like, this is a man's world that we live in, right? And so we're burnout oriented, we're hustle and grind oriented. And when you're constantly faced with challenges or adversities, it's head down, like vision closed. You just keep moving, 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 moving. And that way of living is highly celebrated. It's highly encouraged. And you start to create this like stigma around you where you're like, I'm the get shit done girl, right? Like, I eat adversities for breakfast. Like, I was that person. People literally would tell me that in my network marketing company, where people would be like, yes, Cheyenne's amazing. She's getting all of these crazy promotions and successes, and she eats adversity for breakfast. And like, I ran with that. And I was like, yeah, guys, like, fuck adversity. You can do this, blah, blah, blah. And like, you want to know what happened? Burned the fuck out. I burned out. I didn't heal. I didn't do what I needed to do. And I got praised for it. And that was my drive. And so, what I want to tell you is when you are faced with challenges and adversity, when you choose to move forward through that energy to resolve the issue without first connecting with your inner peace, with your inner flow, with your inner thoughts, your inner knowing, your inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it, you are not only setting yourself up for failure, but you're also you're also encouraging your feminine energy to become harder, right? You're encouraging that masculine energy to take control and to become more dominant. And when challenges arise, you're immediately going to fall back into that masculine hustle, grind, overcome adversity, let's eat it for breakfast mentality. And like, that is the farthest thing from the truth. When when adversity arises, I want you to fall into your body and be like, okay, how can I overcome this? What is the lesson here? What do I need to do? How can I move these emotions and triggers through my body and come from a place of neutrality? Come from a place of softness, right? And so softening into your body and connecting with your senses and unraveling that inner tension will allow you to fuel yourself with the right thoughts. It will allow you to innovate from the right space. And the more you connect with your inner senses, the more you connect with that inner truth and that inner knowing, the easier it becomes for you to use your intuition to guide you, right? Like that is what we want you to do. Challenge arise, intuition will take over and will guide you. And when you start to lead from that intuitive guidance, you're able to navigate the challenge far more efficiently, far more effectively than you can from a very masculine hustle, grind, let's work hard mentality. And I talk about all of this inside my course, Vixen. And we dive into feminine embodiment within that 8-week program. But this also leads me to number 2. Okay. So number 2 is slow down and take as much pleasure in everything you do, good, bad, ugly, in between. Okay. So whether you are whether you're like eating or drinking or speaking or working or like whatever you're doing, like I invite you to become consciously aware of slowing down, right? So kind of like what I'm doing today, right? Like I'm working and my ego was like, no, you can't have this course. You can't do this course. You can't record this course because you're out of breath. You're pregnant. Like, no, you're not going to be able to talk straight. But the like intuitive guide is like, I have something people need to hear. I have a proven step process that people need to learn. And so it doesn't matter if I'm like I need to get my fucking message across because what I have to say is important. And so I became consciously aware of slowing down, right? It doesn't have to look perfect. It's not supposed to look perfect. Femininity and feminine embodiment is unpredictable. And so I decided I'm going to consciously slow down my talking. I'm going to slow down the way I do my courses so that I can show up and still give the information that needs to be received and downloaded. And I encourage you to do the same, right? So practice moment to moment this awareness when you're indulging in any action. Stop stuffing your face and just eating, like enjoy your bite. Be like, oh, this chicken is so good right now. Enjoy your sip of water, right? When you're on the phone, enjoy the communication you're having with that person. Slow the fuck down. And you'll start to see that you're not going to worry about the perfection. You're no longer going to be like, oh my gosh, it has to be perfect, because it's just going to be perfect. It's going to be perfectly imperfect. And as someone whose entire journey of feminine embodiment started when I was forced to physically slow down after major depression, major anxiety, major postpartum, major PTSD. My body was literally giving me seizures that were stress induced. And it was because of the fact that I wasn't slowing the fuck down. And the tension and the stress and the negative energy was manifesting into physical entities. It was manifesting into seizures. It was manifesting into depression, into anxiety, into problems with my relationship. And that is why I can't emphasize enough on the importance of slowing down your rhythm so that you can reestablish your central connection, right? Like this rhythm looks different for every woman. There is no one size fit all formula. But what I can tell you is that when you slow down and connect to your intuition and let your intuition guide you, your life will be so much less stressful. And when your life is less stressful, it starts to manifest in the physical. So if you have skin problems, your skin will start to clear up. Your back pains will start to go away. Your headaches will start to go away. You'll start to sleep better. Your sex drive will increase. Your memory and your mental clarity will improve. Like all of these things are just because you need to slow down and to relieve yourself from that stress. And so, what happens when you start slowing down at any level of your body, whether it's the physical, the mental, the emotional, the energetic, you start acquiring yourself with these body sensations, right? So, you start to feel the connection being activated. You start to feel more connected to those five senses, right? To your taste, to your sight, to your smell, to your physical touch, as well as your inner knowing, as well as those inner senses as well, right? Your gut reaction, um, your intuition, right? Your heart, your throat chakra, all of those things, you're going to tap into the physical, so the external and the internal entities, which is amazing. And it becomes easier as you tap into your pleasure without relying on an external source, right? So, external sources are like casual sex, Netflix, junk food, Instagram, scrolling, gossiping, all those things. Instead of immediately going to those things as like stress reducers, if you can just bring yourself into your body and into your knowing and just like, I'm going to take a deep breath. This is going to be okay. I'm going to calm my central nervous system. You'll start to bring that pleasure to you, right? You'll start to live in a connection with yourself and feel more alive, and the pleasure becomes second nature. So, this is why I tell people you need to practice the habits before you need the habits, right? And so, this sensitivity to your inner senses helps you live more vibrant, it helps you live more rich. And now you know how to feel not only through your pleasure, but you know how to turn pain into your power. Does that make sense? And so this is the part where you start to navigate the deeper ends of your feminine embodiment, where you learn how to honor the entire spectrum of your emotions, the rage, the anger, the love, the joy, the bliss, the laughter. You become fully expressed, right? The pain and the pleasure, the light and the dark shadows. And this is what I teach, right? I teach about it extensively in my core feminine embodiment program, Vixen, right? This is everything I dive deep into in with my one-on-one clients. And so if you're wanting to master the art of feminine embodiment and master the art of creating these self-love rituals, then you need to email my team or slide into my DMs on Instagram and ask me about Vixen. And so I want to go into number 3. We're almost done. I want to go into number 3. Number 3 is bringing your awareness to connect with a thread of pleasure in your body when you're navigating the pain. Okay. So, as we covered in the last points, 1 and 2, slowing down, becoming more aware, all the things. Um, I want you to know that as you tap into your pleasure, this idea of always feeling your pain is not realistic, right? And so there's a default response to pain that might be to numb it out, right? With like pseudo pleasures. So, oh, I'm irritated. Let me go on Instagram. Oh, I'm irritated. Let me get a bottle of wine. Oh, I'm irritated. I need a beer. Oh, I need some retail therapy, right? These pseudo pleasures, kind of like quick fixes. They're also known as STIRBs, which are short-term energy release boosters. So taking a shower, working out, running, um, slicing your wrists. Some people like to like slice their wrists or like take safety pins and cut their wrists so that they can just numb. And so feeling the pain might not be the usual course of action for them, right? Meaning you've never actually felt the pain. And the beauty of living a life at this slowed down pace, it allows you and it helps you to see that even when your pain is being felt, it's only temporary, right? And so instead of going to these pseudo pleasures where you're like retail shopping, going to the gym, working out, having sex, watching Netflix, scrolling through Instagram, you're going to internalize that pain and move it through your body, right? And so with that being said, like I want you to imagine yourself being able to tap within and soak up all of your energy and soak up your internal being in whatever thread of pleasure you can locate when you are in the midst of pain, right? So imagine how little or no impact it has then on your outer expression of your sexuality. Does that make sense? So I want you to try it with me real quick, okay? So you might be having pain right now. You might be stressed. You might be feeling antsy or anxious or frustrated. So I want you to sit in a comfortable position with your back straight and your arms open, okay? So just rest them on your hands, open to receive. Or if you want, you can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your chest. One hand on your chest, one hand on your like your womb abdomen area. And I want you to just breathe. Okay. So I want you to follow and find a natural rhythm to breathe. And when you found that natural rhythm, on every exhale, I want you to sigh. Okay. And we're going to do it 4 times. Okay. So go ahead and inhale, exhale, inhale, inhale, last time. How do you feel? A little calmer, right? A little calmer. And that's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be this big, huge experience thing. Like it could just be something so simple as taking 2 minutes out of your day to just recenter, rebalance, come back, right? Find the pleasure in your breathing. So I always say, like, with every inhale, you're receiving, and with every exhale, you're penetrating the negative energy out into the world, right? So it's okay. And you can even move your hands to like give you that like physical sensation. It's all amazing. And then this leads me into my favorite, which is number 4. And this is devoting a few minutes a day to your sensual flow practice. Okay. So all of the above mentioned ways to explore when you've learned the skills of tapping into your inner knowing, right? To that inner pleasure. And that is why it is so important to have pleasure or sensuality practices, or what I like to call them self love rituals, is because it allows you to take yourself to a deeper level, right? And that could be something as taking baths, getting massages, breathing, taking a shower, going for a walk. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to literally sexually pleasure yourself physically with your fingers until you orgasm. That is not what I'm saying. However, that is amazing too. So if you want to add that into, like, do it. Um, but these self-love rituals of slowing down, right? Slowing down your day and becoming more aware. It's really a skill set that not many have practiced or mastered. And so, unfortunately, we aren't taught these in school, right? We're not taught these in college. You kind of have to teach yourself, which is why I'm here and offer the programs that I offer. However, with consistent practice, you are able to master these steps, and it becomes your second nature to tap into that pleasure, to tap into that desire, regardless of where you are and what you're doing. So this is when you become unfuckwithable, is when you learn these tools and you know what tools to use at a certain time. So if I'm in a grocery store, of course, I'm not going to masturbate to remove negative energy. When I'm in the grocery store, I'm going to be like, okay, don't let me cut a bitch right now. Like, I got this, right? Like you're going to do something that's more adjustable for that moment. Whereas if I'm at home and I'm getting worked up and overwhelmed and overstimulated, I'm going to go to my room and throw a tantrum, punch some pillows, scream, and get full on primal bitch in here, right? And so that is what I want you to be able to do. And again, I teach all of this inside of Vixen and inside of my one-on-one containers, is to imagine yourself as this most powerful element of your feminine embodiment, because you no longer are going to need to depend on the sexual sources for pleasure to experience a true sensual power, right? So you're going to be able to turn yourself on through your everyday necessities by practicing them before you need them, right? And so again, if you're wanting more information on how to master these self love rituals and to become more fully expressed, and I always say to reclaim the part of you that was told to feel shame or guilt about, Vixen is the program for you. And it's 8 weeks, it's self led, it's absolutely amazing. You get live gathering calls, you get a community, you get the whole nine, and there is a payment plan available. So if you want more information about that, slide into my DMs, slide into my inbox, ask about Vixen, because it's going to be amazing. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to be life changing. And like, it is what it is. And I want to leave you with this little sidebar before I let you go. That is, in the silence, you hear the most, right? So in the silence is when you hear the most. God gave you 2 ears for a reason. He gave you one mouth for a reason. That means he wants you to do less talking and more listening, and you cannot listen if you're caught up in the noise. And so you have to learn to slow down. You have to learn to be quiet. You have to learn to listen to the physical, to the vocal, to the emotional, to the mental, so that you can really gain the lessons and the blessings and the downloads that you're supposed to receive in your life. That is your intuitive guidance. That little voice in your head that we constantly ignore and let get caught up in the back noise, that's your intuition. And I'm here to guide you so that you can tap into her more frequently and love on her more frequently and become the gorgeous, badass, kick ass, sexy, juicy goddess that you are supposed to be. That is all that I have for you today. I love you. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram, respond to the emails, and I'll see you inside Vixen. Bye, guys.